Listen, there's a moment in every life where the truth stops whispering and starts screaming. And this is that moment for you. Because you've been telling yourself a story, a soft, padded lie that you're stuck, that you can't break free, that addiction has you by the throat. But let's tear the mask off right now. You're not trapped. You're comfortable, and comfort is the quiet killer. You didn't wake up one day inside a cage. You built it, slowly, quietly, bar by bar, click by click, escape by escape, excuse by excuse. Every time you ran from pain, another bar. Every time you traded growth for distraction, another bar. Every time you sent tomorrow, the cage tightened. And the sickest part, you pretended you didn't notice. But look closely. You'll see the blueprint in your own hands. You are the builder. And because of that, you are also the key. You say you're overwhelmed, but what you really are is under-led. Led by impulses, led by cravings. Led by the soft, cowardly part of you that would rather numb out than rise up. This is the part of the script where the emotional mirror becomes brutal. Because when you look into yourself, you already know the truth. There is no addiction stronger than the person you pretend not to be. That's the lie you've lived in, that the cage is outside you. No, the cage is your habits. The cage is your patterns. The cage is the version of you that refuses to grow teeth. You can't negotiate with a cage you built. You can only break it. But breaking it requires a shift so deep, it feels like violence. And that's why you avoid it. You avoid the mirror because the mirror hurts. But listen, the mirror hurts, the cage kills. Repeat that until it rattles your spine. The mirror hurts, the cage kills. The mirror hurts, the cage kills. Let those words become your first weapon, your first anchor, your first truth that actually holds weight. You think addiction is about dopamine or habits or willpower. It's not. It's identity. It's the story you've told yourself so many times that it became a prison. And right now, you're standing in that prison, pretending the door isn't wide open. Let me give you the reframe, the one that shocks your soul awake. You don't escape addiction by fighting harder. You escape it by becoming someone addiction can't live in anymore. Addiction is built for your weaker self, the soft self, the self that hides, the self that whispers, "I'll change when life gets easier." But the eagle doesn't wait for easier skies. The eagle rises through resistance. The eagle rips through the wind with blood in its eyes and clarity in its bones. It doesn't flap for approval. It doesn't beg the storm to soften. It pushes straight through because it knows something you keep forgetting. The sky belongs to whatever has the courage to claim it. And that's why the eagle metaphor cuts so deep. Not because you think of yourself as an eagle, but because part of you knows you were never meant to crawl in the first place. You've just been behaving like something smaller than what you are. Look at your life with honesty for the first time in years. Every addictive pattern was a path you chose because it was easy, because it was warm, because it gave you a place to hide from your potential. But ease steals purpose. Warmth steals clarity. Hiding steals hunger. And you cannot fly without hunger. So here's your identity shift, the one this entire section is driving toward. Addiction didn't chain you. You abandoned yourself. Now you reclaim yourself. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when things calm down. Now. Because every moment you delay, the cage gets reinforcement. And every moment you act, the cage cracks. Let this be your second anchor phrase. Break the bar in front of you. Just the next bar. Then the next. Then the next. That's how every escape begins. Not with motivation, with movement. Not with clarity, with courage. Not with waiting, with war. A war inside your own skull. A war between the version of you that wants to rise and the version that wants to rot. And only one of them gets to live. So take a breath. Stand taller. Feel the walls around you for what they really are. Thin, fragile lies. You built them. You can crush them. And the moment you take the first step out, the wind will hit your face like truth. The sky will open like destiny. And you'll feel something you haven't felt in years. Weightlessness, possibility, flight. Now the question is simple. Are you ready to break the next bar? You broke a bar. You felt the cage shake. But this is where most people fall back. Not because the prison is strong, but because the illusion of comfort is stronger. And you know exactly what I mean. That soft moment where temptation whispers, "Come back, just for a minute." That warm echo in your mind telling you, "You deserve this." That little voice that pretends to care about you when all it does is keep you small. Comfort looks like a blanket, but it behaves like a noose. And addiction. Addiction is comfort weaponized. Because comfort doesn't show you the corrosion. It hides it behind pleasure. It hides it behind numbness. It hides it behind the lie that feeling good equals being okay. But think about it honestly. How many times did feeling good leave you feeling hollow? How many times did taking the edge off sharpen the blade on your spirit? How many times did escape leave you more lost than when you started? This is the truth you've been avoiding. Comfort is the enemy of evolution, and escape is the enemy of identity. Every time you pick the quick fix over the hard truth, you don't just lose time, you shrink. You shrink your courage. You shrink your clarity. You shrink your wings. And shrinking your wings is the first step to forgetting you were ever meant to fly. Comfort is clever. It wears compassion like a costume. It says, "You've had a long day. You deserve a break. No one will know. It's just this one time." But behind every soft sentence is a single intention. Keep you grounded. Keep you predictable. Keep you small. Because small people are easy to control. Small people are easy to distract. Small people are easy to keep addicted. You've been mistaking sedation for safety. And nothing destroys a human faster than safety that comes from avoidance. Here's the emotional mirror you can't run from anymore. Comfort doesn't care about your future. Comfort only cares that you stay exactly where you are. Because if you stay where you are, you'll never become what threatens the addiction. A strong mind, a clear soul, a disciplined identity. Addiction can't survive inside clarity. It needs chaos. It feeds on chaos. It hides inside the fog. So the moment your life begins to sharpen, addiction panics. It tries to pull you back with softness, with easy dopamine, with just 5 minutes, with "you earned this." But clarity is the antidote. Clarity is the weapon. Clarity is the cure you've been avoiding. And that clarity doesn't come from feeling good. It comes from feeling real. Let me show you the reframe that will flip your entire world. This isn't pain, it's purification. This isn't deprivation, it's detox. This isn't you losing something, it's you getting your life back. Pain isn't the enemy. Pain is the cleansing fire. Pain is the reset button life gives warriors and hides from the weak. The eagle doesn't sit in the mud when the sky is burning. The eagle doesn't rest on low branches when storms are calling. The eagle doesn't seek comfort, it seeks clarity. Because clarity gives direction. Comfort steals destiny. You've been living below the clouds, pretending the mud is home. You've been soothing your soul instead of sharpening it. And deep down, you know you were never meant to stay low. Here's your first repetition anchor for this section. Comfort corrodes. Comfort corrodes. Comfort corrodes. Say it until it breaks the spell. Say it until the softness tastes like poison. Say it until the next time comfort calls, you hear shackles instead of safety. And here's your second anchor. Short-term pleasure is a long-term prison. Every time you escape the moment, you sentence your future self to suffering. Every time you pick pleasure over purpose, the price doubles. Every time you choose numbness, you kill a piece of the person you could have become. You don't need more comfort. You need more clarity. You need more altitude. You need more sky. So let's get brutally honest. You don't crave the thing you're addicted to. You crave the feeling of not feeling. You crave the silence of pain. You crave the absence of responsibility. But that absence is killing you. Comfort is not your friend. Comfort is not your healer. Comfort is not your freedom. Comfort is a liar. But clarity is where your new self begins. Clarity is where your wings stretch. Clarity is where the eagle rises. And in this moment, right now, you're standing between two lives. The life where you keep choosing comfort, or the life where you reclaim the sky. So tell me, are you ready to trade the mud for the storm? Pain is not your enemy. It's your training ground. And the longer you run from it, the longer you delay your evolution. Because here's the truth no one told you. You don't grow wings in calm weather. You grow them in chaos. You've been told to avoid the storm, to wait for the perfect moment, to start when life feels balanced, when your mind is clear, when your urges are gone, when you feel ready. But storms don't ask for permission, and neither does transformation. Let's be honest, withdrawal hurts. The emptiness, the shaking inside your mind, the craving for comfort when you've just sworn it off. The echo of that old identity trying to claw its way back into your life. But that pain, that is not a setback. That's the signal. That's the proving ground. That's the weight you push to get stronger. That's the thunder testing if your wings are real or decorative. The eagle doesn't fly around the storm. It flies into it because the eagle knows something you forgot. The winds of resistance are the very currents that lift you higher. So ask yourself, what have you been running from? What pain have you been sedating with distractions? What tension have you been avoiding, hoping it will just fade on its own? It won't. It's waiting for you to face it, to fly through it. Here's the reframe you need to tattoo on your mindset. Pain is the price of passage. Discomfort is not punishment. It is purification. It scrapes off the old self. It peels away the comfort-addicted identity you've outgrown. It bleeds out the weak thoughts still whispering, "Go back, numb out. It's easier there." Yes, it's easier there. It's also where you stay small. It's where dreams die quiet deaths. It's where clarity never visits. So the next time the storm hits, next time the cravings scream, next time the emotions twist your gut into knots, don't collapse. Don't retreat. Hunt the storm. Here's your first anchor phrase. Cravings are a test. Cravings are a test. Cravings are a test. They're not a sign of weakness. They're a checkpoint. Each craving asks, will you kneel or will you rise? Will you choose the old path or will you earn the sky? And here's your second anchor. Discipline is not chains. It's your wings learning resistance. Without discipline, you flap like a sparrow, erratic, exhausted, directionless. With discipline, you glide. You hold tension like power. You ride the winds instead of crashing into them. You've treated discipline like a punishment. But in reality, it's your true nature remembering how to move. Visualize this. A storm breaks open above the mountains. Clouds tear open. Winds scream. Lightning veins the sky. And there, locked in the middle of it, an eagle, still, centered, eyes forward, rising. Not flapping, not panicking, just mastering resistance. That's not poetic fluff. That's a mirror, a challenge, a reminder. You've been crawling around your potential like it's some unreachable myth. But all that time, you were just avoiding the storm. You say you want freedom, but freedom demands friction. You say you want power, but power is sculpted through pressure. So let the storm come. Let the cravings roar. Let the emotional winds tear at your chest. Because you're not just enduring the storm. You are becoming something inside of it. You are building lungs that breathe resistance. You are building eyes that don't flinch. You are building wings that don't break. And now you're standing at the edge again. The winds are rising. The pain is present. The urges will whisper. But you already know how this goes. You can kneel, or you can rise. You can run, or you can glide straight through it. So I ask you one final question in this section. Will you fear the storm, or will you become the one who flies inside it? You think addiction is outside of you. You think it's the phone, the bottle, the screen, the substance. No, it's none of those. Addiction is you, the part of you that's still negotiating with your lower self. The whisper that says, just one more time. Today doesn't count. You've been doing so well. Take a break. It's not a demon on your shoulder. It's the version of you that doesn't want to die. Because make no mistake, this is war. Not out there, in here, inside your skull. You're not addicted to a thing. You're addicted to the part of yourself that still craves weakness, that still worships comfort, that still hides from power. The version of you that fears what happens when you have nothing left to run to. And now it's time to kill that voice. Not with hatred, but with hunger. Hunger for truth. Hunger for power. Hunger for peace. Because you don't beat addiction with affirmations. You beat it with execution. One decision at a time. One moment at a time. One refusal at a time. That's what war looks like. The battlefield isn't glamorous. It's not loud. It's not cinematic. It's quiet, brutal, psychological trench warfare. Every morning, your false self wakes up before you. It plans your defeat. It plots your escape route before you even step out of bed. And if you're not armed, if you're not ready, it will win. It always wins by default. You keep saying, I don't know why I keep slipping. I don't know why I can't stop. I don't know what's wrong with me. Here's what's wrong. You keep negotiating with the snake, and the eagle doesn't negotiate with snakes. Even if the snake lives inside its chest, the eagle rips it out before it infects the wings. This is your mirror. You're not losing because you're weak. You're losing because you're too tolerant of the voice that's killing you. Here's your first anchor phrase. Kill the voice, or it will kill you. Say it again. Kill the voice, or it will kill you. It's not dramatic. It's not metaphor. It's math. The longer you let that voice speak, the more it rewires your brain. The more it owns your choices. The more it becomes you. This is psychological warfare. Not against a villain, against your shadow. And you cannot be passive in a war against yourself. If you don't choose your highest self, your lowest self will choose for you. You want peace, then fight for it. Peace is not something you meditate your way into. It's what's left after the battle is won, after the false self is buried, after the war inside your skull finally goes quiet. That silence you're chasing through addiction. It only comes after execution. after you walk through the fire and stop giving the weaker voice a seat at your table. Picture this. An eagle, mid-flight, feels the venom of a snake tightening in its chest. The storm is raging, winds slicing. But instead of landing, instead of panicking, instead of calling for help, it pierces its own chest with its talon and tears the snake free. That's what this moment is. You're flying, but something is slithering inside. It's whispering again. It's coiling again. And now you have a choice. Keep flying with poison, or feel pain once and be free forever. Here's your second anchor phrase. You don't need to feel better. You need to fight cleaner. No more waiting for the urge to pass. No more hoping the craving fades. No more blaming triggers, timing, emotions, or your past. This war is yours. And victory doesn't belong to the strongest. It belongs to the most ruthless with themselves. So next time that voice whispers, just once, just today, no one will know. Look it in the face. Don't argue. Don't reason. Just say, not today, not ever again. Then move. You're not just healing. You're becoming a weapon against your old self. Because in this war, there is no second place. Only the one who flies and the one who dies. So tell me, are you ready to silence the snake? Or will you let it keep speaking for you? Let's stop pretending this is about routines. It's not about waking up earlier. It's not about drinking more water. It's not about writing to-do lists or reading self-help books. If you want to overcome addiction, stop treating it like a productivity problem. It's not. It's an identity crisis. And here's the raw truth. You don't rise because of what you do. You rise because of who you refuse to be anymore. You've been trying to fix addiction with discipline, but discipline built on a broken identity is just a cage with gold bars. You'll stay clean for a day, a week, a month, then relapse, then spiral, then shame yourself, then start over. Why? Because you were acting like someone else, not becoming someone else. Habits follow identity, not the other way around. And if your identity is still tied to weakness, to comfort, to escape, no routine will save you. Here's your mirror. You've been acting like someone who's trying to quit, someone who's trying to stay clean, someone who's trying to build structure. But people who are trying already lost. Because when you try, you leave space for the version of you that still wants to lose. You don't try to overcome addiction. You become someone addiction can't survive inside of. That's the shift. That's where everything starts to click. The eagle doesn't wake up and ask, how do I stay disciplined today? It doesn't watch pigeons and copy their morning routine. It flies because it is the thing that flies. It hunts because it is the thing that hunts. It soars through storms because it never believed it was made for shelter. That's not willpower. That's identity. You're still grounded because you're still looking in the mirror and seeing a pigeon. You want freedom. Then burn that image. Set fire to the old self. The one who escapes through dopamine. The one who breaks promises. The one who lives for approval and dies for distraction. Burn it. Here's your first anchor phrase. Discipline is not effort. Discipline is identity. When it's who you are, it's not willpower. It's instinct. You don't have to force yourself to say no. You just don't align with the version of you that would say yes. And that's the root. Alignment. If you're aligned with weakness, you'll always find a reason to slip. If you're aligned with your higher nature, you'll search for reasons to stay sharp. Let's go deeper. Look at what you've been calling discipline. Was it really discipline or just temporary self-control, fueled by guilt and shame? Discipline born from shame is always fragile. It shatters the second pain knocks. But discipline born from devotion, that's unbreakable. Devotion to what? to the future you're building, to the peace you haven't felt in years, to the power waiting for you past the storm, to the eagle inside that never belonged in the mud. You don't stick to discipline. You devote yourself to becoming someone who no longer negotiates with weakness. Here's your second anchor. You don't rise through habits. You rise through identity. It's not about the journal. It's not about the morning walk. It's about the version of you who does those things without questioning why. Because they are no longer tools. They are the reflection of who you've become. That's the goal, to live in such deep alignment that relapse feels foreign, like someone else's life, like a body you've shed. So here's your task. Write a death certificate for the self you've been, the version of you that settled, that escaped, that lied to yourself every time you said, "This is the last time." And then choose rebirth, through discipline as devotion. Not because someone told you to, not because you want to impress the world, but because you refuse to be owned. Not by porn, not by sugar, not by anxiety, not by apathy. Not by any version of yourself that kneels to impulse. Discipline isn't the prison. It's the prayer. The declaration that you were never meant to crawl. So stop acting like you're on the path and become the one who builds it. You don't need better habits. You need to bury the self who needs them. And now the question returns. Will you keep trying to quit, or will you become the one who never needs to again? You don't rise on motivation. You rise on ritual. Because when the cravings hit, when the old identity knocks, you don't need hype. You need a system that doesn't flinch. Freedom doesn't come from feeling better. Freedom comes from operating better. You don't beat addiction with intensity. You beat it with infrastructure. And if your days are weak, scattered, and reactive, don't be surprised when you relapse. You've given addiction the perfect battlefield. No structure, no rhythm, no defense. It's time to change that. It's time to weaponize your day with ruthless rituals and relentless flight. Let's start with the mirror. You wake up late. Check your phone. Scroll. Lay there. Negotiate with the morning. Negotiate with the cold. Negotiate with the war inside your head. You lose before you've even stood up. And you call this freedom. You say you want control, but your life has no anchors, no code, no rhythm, no sacred territory that's yours alone. You don't need more tips. You need to build temples in your day. Because if you don't protect your time, your mind will be stolen. If you don't protect your mind, your discipline will rot. And if your discipline rots, the old self wins by default. Here's the reframe. Freedom is not the absence of structure. Freedom is found in the rituals that make you unshakable. You don't rise by emotion, you rise by execution. Rituals more powerful than cravings. Rituals that beat the voice before it speaks. This is neural warcraft. You're not building habits, you're rewiring identity. Every action is a groove in your nervous system. And either that groove leads to sovereignty or back to the cage. Here's your first anchor phrase. Discipline is not a decision, it's a rhythm. Rituals are rhythm. Rhythm kills resistance. Rhythm removes hesitation. The eagle doesn't think about flying, it flies. It doesn't wake up and wonder if it feels like soaring. It soars because it's aligned with the sky. That's what ritual gives you, alignment. Automatic motion towards your higher self. So what does it look like? Wake up, before the phone, before the world, before the weakness. Silence, stillness, cold water, movement, writing, breath, prayer, stretch, push-ups, presence. You don't do these things to feel good. You do them to build someone new. Each one is a brick. Each one is a weapon. Each one is a signal to your brain. This is who we are now. You're not healing through hacks. You're sculpting a version of yourself that doesn't have space for addiction anymore. Here's your second anchor. Protect your rituals like your life depends on it, because it does. Because the moment your rituals go, you return to the fog. You start flinching again, you start negotiating again. You let the old voice in, and that voice has been waiting. It only needs one opening, one skipped morning, one day without movement, one day without silence, and suddenly, it grows louder than you remembered. Your rituals are your walls, your weapons, your reminders that you were never meant to live soft. And don't expect applause. Don't expect people to understand. You're going to build rituals that look extreme to the average. Good, because average is addicted. Average is distracted. Average is at war with itself and losing. The eagle doesn't flap for approval. It rises in silence, above the noise, above the chaos, above the cravings. That's your code now. Above. This isn't about performance. This is about protection. You are protecting your power before the world has a chance to drain it. You are defending your direction before chaos can steal it. And over time, those rituals stop being effort. They become your engine. So the question isn't, should I do my routine today? The real question is, do you want to keep building the version of you who can never be owned again? Then, protect the temple, sharpen the rhythm, glide through your day like the eagle, effortless, because the sky was always home. And now ask yourself, what would my life look like if my rituals were stronger than my cravings? And what's stopping you from living that life right now? There's a reason you keep falling back. It's not because you're broken. It's not because you lack discipline. It's not because you don't want it bad enough. It's because you're still too plugged in. Addiction survives in noise, in the buzz of validation, in the scroll, in the comment, in the algorithm, in the approval you keep chasing from people who are also drowning. You're trying to ascend while dragging society on your back. It won't work. You cannot rise while staying tuned into the frequency of the fallen. Society sells sedation. It packages your poison in convenience, colors, and dopamine loops. And it tells you relapse is normal. Take it easy. You're being too hard on yourself. You deserve a break. No, you don't deserve a break from your potential. You deserve to break free from the cycle. But to do that, you must detach. The hard truth, the higher you fly, the lonelier it gets. And that's not something to fear. That's something to earn. Because loneliness at altitude is not isolation. It's insulation. From noise, from weakness, from the opinions of people who gave up on themselves years ago. You don't need more connection. You need more clarity. And clarity lives in solitude. Here's your first anchor phrase. Solitude is sacred. Solitude is sacred. Solitude is sacred. You've been trained to think silence means something's wrong. But silence is where the signal finally comes through. That voice inside you that you drowned in noise, it's still there, waiting, pure, uncompromised, ready to guide you, if you'll just shut the world off long enough to hear it. But that's uncomfortable, isn't it? You detox from the screen, and anxiety hits. You step away from people, and the cravings scream. You sit in stillness, and you feel like you're losing control. You're not. That's withdrawal from a world that wants you sedated. From a culture that profits off your distraction. From a system that celebrates relapse because relapse keeps you dependent. You think you're healing, but the moment you outgrow their frequency, they'll call you arrogant, selfish, cold, too intense. Good. Because the eagle doesn't flap for approval. It soars in silence. The ones who heal fully, the ones who win the war, they disappear for a while. They go ghost. Not because they're hiding, because they're rising. You can't bring everyone with you. Some people are married to their chains. Some people are committed to the noise. Some people don't want clarity. They want company in their confusion. But the eagle doesn't wait at ground level, trying to convince the flock to rise. It climbs. And whoever has the lungs to follow, follows. Here's your second anchor. Dopamine can't follow you past the clouds. Up there, the air is thinner. The cravings fade. The ego dies. And something else takes its place. Presence, precision, peace. You don't need to prove anything anymore. You don't need to explain your distance. You don't need to post your growth to validate that it's happening. That's the beauty of flight. The sky doesn't clap. It just holds you. But getting there requires detachment. You must unplug to upgrade. You must isolate to realign. You must disappear to rebuild. And that doesn't mean you vanish forever. It means you return as something untouchable. Someone no longer governed by external noise. Someone no longer driven by feedback loops. Someone whose validation is internal and absolute. So if it's getting quiet in your life right now, if people are pulling away, if you feel alone in your transformation, good. That's how you know you're rising. That's how you know the clouds are near. That's how you know the addiction is losing its grip, because it can't reach you up here. Not in the silence, not in the solitude, not in the sacred space you carved for yourself when everyone else stayed distracted. So here's your question. Will you keep flapping for attention in a cage full of noise? Or will you outsoar all of it and finally become the one who doesn't need the world to rise? You've spent enough time running, hiding, avoiding the mirror, avoiding the fire, avoiding the version of you that's been clawing to be born. But this moment, right now, this is where the hunt begins. Not for more pleasure, not for comfort, not for another excuse to escape. This is the hunt for your final form. The one that doesn't flinch, the one that doesn't fold, the one that ends what's been hunting you. Let's stop sugarcoating it. You've been prey, hunted by your habits, tracked by your temptations, outmaneuvered by your impulses. Every time you gave in to that one last scroll, that one last hit, that one last escape, you weren't in control. You were being devoured. Addiction didn't chase you with fangs. It wrapped around you slowly, gently, until you forgot what it felt like to breathe without it. But now, you remember. Now you see it. And now it's your turn to become the one who stalks. Because you don't rise by waiting. You rise by hunting, by setting your eyes on the man you were meant to become, and refusing to blink until you find him. The eagle doesn't wait for the perfect wind. It finds its prey in chaos. It locks in, unmoving, unblinking, because it was built to dominate the very conditions that break weaker creatures. So ask yourself, have you been watching your potential die? Or have you been preparing to kill what's been killing you? Here's your first anchor phrase. No more delay. No more numbness. Say it out loud. Every second you hesitate, the old self breathes deeper. Every minute you stall, the cravings reload. Every hour you spend thinking about it, you give your enemy time to rebuild its fortress in your mind. But not anymore. This is your kill switch moment. The one where you stop trying, where you stop healing softly, where you stop dancing with discipline like it's a hobby. This is where you hunt it down and end it. The excuses die here. The softness dies here. The victim dies here. Because predators don't beg for peace. They build it through destruction. They don't wait for the storm to pass. They use it to cover their approach. That's the energy now. Controlled, Precise, lethal. No anger, no noise, just focus, just truth, just a soul that has had enough. Here's your second anchor. Hunt your potential, or be hunted by your patterns. There is no middle ground, no neutral zone, no safe space between the old life and the new one. You either act like the highest version of yourself, or you are prey to the lowest one. So when the cravings whisper tonight, when the screen glows, when the thought hits just once, you remember this: the eagle doesn't blink, the eagle doesn't hesitate, the eagle doesn't ask if it's ready, it strikes. Because hesitation is how prey dies. So let's end where this all began. You started in a cage. You built it. You lived in it. You believed it was permanent. But you burned the old self. You outflew the noise. You sharpened the rituals. You rewired your rhythm. You remembered the truth. You were never here to be consumed. You were here to become the force that consumes weakness. And now, the prey is gone. What's left is precision, conviction, clarity, flight. This is your last test. Not a speech, not a script, a mirror. Look into it and decide. Will you rise when it's hard, or will you fall like you used to? Will you become the one who finishes the war, or will you keep starting over? The storm has passed. The rituals are in place. The voice is quiet. The sky is clear. Now it's just you and the target. The hunt begins.